Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today what I want to talk about are 5 watches. It's going to turn out to be 6, but 5 brands that are all under $5,000 and they all have in-house movements. And now I know there's a lot of, you can get in-house doesn't mean the very best, but it means that the company has done something more than simply slap in somebody else's movement and call it a day, especially putting in a cheap movement. Now, you take movements by Agenor or Vaussure and some of these other ones, those are very good movements and probably better than most of the ones in most of the watches. Not all of them, but still. On the other hand, though, you're getting a company, when a watch company takes the resources and time and everything else to create a movement for a watch, it can design a movement around something unique or something that they like. So anyway, that's without getting into too complicated. The problem is usually the watches with in-house movements are more expensive. Right now I have on my Moser Center Seconds. Yes, it's not under $5,000. Okay, so let's take a look. Now the first one is a favorite of mine. Is Jaeger-LeCoultre Reversal Classique Large Small Second. It's sort of funny. It's sort of, Biggie Small or something like that. It's a large size. This is for guys, and then it has the small seconds down at 6 o'clock. These cost about, I think they're listed for around 6,000, right around there. On the Jaeger-LeCoultre side, or maybe they're 5,000 something. But I looked around and I found a place called WatchMax. And by the way, too, if the price that I've got up there is a secondary market, I'll put the name of the secondary market or the secondary dealer. Otherwise, it's company's price. Okay, so this one is the kind of watch that you can keep forever, at least in my opinion. The movement is good, solid Jaeger-LeCoultre movement, and this watch is my wife has the small one for women. Keeps great time, really a good watch. Again, $4,900 is not much under $5,000. If you're going to spend that kind of money, you might as well get a good watch, because you can find a lot of watches with relatively cheap movements in them for $5,000. You can find them for $20,000. So this is one I would recommend. Now, this next one is Nomos. Nomos has a lot of watches under $5,000, and they have these movements that are prefaced with DUW. I forgot what they stand for. Somebody told me once and I immediately forgot. But DUW, these are all made by Nomos Glashütte. And there were 2 of them that I really like, but there are dozens of them that you can find. First of all, right near, not at the bottom, but near the bottom is, in terms of price, is the club date. And the difference between the club and the club date is usually the club date has a date window. This one has it at 6 o'clock. I've always liked this. It's sort of sporty watch that, is also to a great office watch, the same thing. The Autobahn Neomatic Date Sports Gray is, I don't know how popular these are, but I really like them. They're part of this Autobahn sort of collection that came out. There aren't very many, but this one I happen to like a lot. I like the at 6 o'clock, the date window. I do like the having three dates, yesterday and tomorrow. It helps. And the one right in the middle is the current date. Parmigiani has that same thing on their date windows too, and I like Parmigiani's. This one has a movement of DUW 6101, and the club date is 4101. The club date is manual. The Autobahn is automatic. Like them both. They're both under 5,000, and like I said, Nomos has tons of stuff. And by the way, too, these are all the prices that they have listed, the MSRPs. Now, this next one, this Omega Speedmaster Racing Automatic Chronograph, this one's $3,095. Now, this one I found that price. This is not the list price. I couldn't find a list price at Omega that was under 5,000. So I looked around, and there are lots of them under 5,000. And again, these are all for brand new watches. And by brand new, I mean they're unworn or they're shop worn or something like that. They haven't been sold before, and you can get them. And like I said, this one I got at Joma's shop. Now, I've always liked this one. Maybe it's the color. I like that sort of deep red and black color combination. Metal band, which is really not a metal bracelet. It's coaxial movement. Now, the movement is Omega caliber 3330. And at the base of it is a Longines. And the base of the Longines is some aspect of ETA movement. Now, somebody say, well, what about being in-house? Well, this gets problematic with Omega because Omega is owned by Swatch, which also owns all of these other watch movement companies and so forth. I think the big thing about Omega, and the reason that I want to add one to my collection someday, is the coaxial movement, or the coaxial escapement in them. And I think it's sort of a neat thing to have at least one in your collection. And I like it a lot. Now, this next one is by Panerai. And it's only been fairly recent that I recommended Panerai, and I'll tell you why. For a long time, they had sort of one of these mystery meat movements in them. You never know what you're going to get. And so there was a famous case they had, I think it was called the PAM 318. And in it, there was this cheap movement. All right. And that was a big embarrassment. I mean, it was sort of a totally unfinished ETA of some kind. And so there was a big ruckus about it. And so at some point, I think Panerai decided, or Richemont, who owns Panerai, decided, look, you need your own movements. And so they started off, this one they have is the 6,000 caliber, and they're all 6,000, 9,000, so forth, something like this. This one is 3 hertz, which again puts it in my very favorable category. And it's called the Panerai Radiomere base logo. And I've always liked the looks of Panerai, but I was always mad at them because I didn't know what was in them until recently. Now, this one's a big one at 45 millimeters. And one of the things that I realized at 45 millimeters is too big for a lot of people. But the irony is, if you have a smaller wrist, there are so many more good deals out there for you. So I figured, well, if you got a big wrist, here's a good deal for you. And this is the Panerai. This is the list price is $4,300. I think it's a great watch that can go with a lot of places. You put a black band on that, and it would do well as a dress watch. Great as sort of an everyday office watch too. I like this watch a lot. Well, I like Panerai's designs a whole lot, and now that they've changed their policies, I like them even better. Finally, this is a watch that I absolutely love. Bulgari Octo Aroma. This one is $3,450. Now, this watch, I think the list price is around 6,000, something like that. This one I found at Shopworn. You can find these at different places for under 5,000. This was the best price that I could find. I thought I'd mention this. I got one of these for my son, and it was much better than I thought. All right. It has the BVL 191 is a Bulgari movement, and it's a very wide band. This part, I forgot what it was, but it's like 26 or 28, something like that. Really wide band, but and it's 41 millimeter with an octagonal case to it. The thing about it is that with the wide band, it is so comfortable. A lot of times I have one of my favorite watches. I love it, but the band is a little narrow. There's, like I said, it's one of my favorite watches. They could put any kind of band on it if they wanted. But a big fat band like that, I thought, well, gee whiz, that's going to be clunky, but it's not. It turned out to be the opposite. And this watch, I just love this watch. Anyway, so those are the 5 recommended, what I would recommend. Somebody said, well, I want to get something under 5,000. Now, I know as sure as I'm sitting here that someone's going to say, what about this? I can't believe you didn't mention this. It's like the drama queens among us, and they're on their fainting couch. I can't believe. Look, one of the things that I'm hoping for is that you come up and say, hey, here's a recommendation. Then everybody listens to you. I said, oh, this guy's squared away. But, like, oh no, you left this out. I can't believe it. But I want your comments. I like to hear from you. Some ideas you have. Maybe you like these. Maybe these you're not so happy about. But these are some of the ones that you can get. And like I said, these are all brand new. Much better prices on the pre-owned market. So that's another thing that that you can take a look at too. Well, like I said, I'd really like to hear from you, and this is an invitation to subscribe if you like. And until next time, this is Bill Sanders with Watch Art Side, the art and science of watch collection.